This is about reaching potential amidst the current curveballs. One of the curveballs that I haven't included in my speech is the curveball of perimenopause, which I've been hit by quite strongly recently, and my memory is not great, so I do apologise, but I'm going to read my notes just so that I can get through this, because I think it's a story that needs to be told, and just because I can't remember all the words, I'm still going to get through it. So this shy girl in the photograph is me. This girl never would have imagined that one day she would be on stage talking to a room full of people about her journey through diversity, disability and football. This is her story. Growing up, I always thought that I wanted to be a primary school teacher. I went to teacher training college, but during work experience, I was hit by a curveball when a sense of doubt kicked in, and I wondered if teaching was my true calling. So at the end of my first year at college, I left and I took up a full-time job in a bar and restaurant where I'd been working part-time. This frustrated my parents, so when they saw an advert for a hotel trainee management programme with the Ryan Hotel Group, they encouraged me to go for it. I worked and studied hospitality management for the next 3 years and worked in hotels in Galway and then Dún Laoghaire and Dublin. I graduated in February 2001 and got a job as a food and beverage manager in a Dublin city centre hotel. I was loving life in the big city. I had great friends, a job I loved, and my independence. I felt invincible. But then my bubble had burst. Curveball number 2 struck me violently just 6 weeks after graduating, when on Sunday the 1st of April 2001, I was the front seat passenger in a road traffic accident, and I severed the ligaments, tendons and nerves in my ankle. I had to move home to my parents and brothers in Bangor, and the strong, independent young woman that I had become spent months sleeping downstairs in a bed in the dining room, relying on my mum bringing me in a bowl of water to wash myself, relying on my younger brother coming home from college every day to make me lunch and a drink, relying on everyone to do everything for me. With my injuries, it took several months to get back on my feet, and several months that I realised that I wouldn't be able to go back to an active role in hotel management, as it was now outside of my capability. I was faced with a dilemma. Lewis Carroll famously said, "If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there." And with that in mind, my goals were simple: get a job, learn how to drive, buy a car, and move to Galway. So I got a job, I learnt to drive, I met curveball number 3, otherwise known as my husband Gareth, and never moved back to Galway. Gareth and I got married, and we have 2 wonderful sons. I drifted along in different jobs, but I didn't feel like I was reaching my full potential. This wasn't an issue. I was now focusing more on a new role as a mother, while Gareth's job took priority. Managing my disability, 2 kids, and a full-time job, while my husband travelled the globe for work, left me drained. And in 2015, I reluctantly left work to become a stay-at-home mum. This was another unexpected curveball, and this new role didn't suit me. So I took on voluntary roles with Marie Curie and my son's school to keep my brain active and have adult interaction. My boys started to play football for a local football team. I didn't love being out in the wind and rain on a Saturday morning watching kids chasing after a football. My life plans had never included becoming a soccer mum. However, making friends with some other football mums, I got involved in organising fundraisers and events and was asked to look after the club's social media page. I didn't have any social media training, but I chose to follow the advice of Richard Branson when he said, "If somebody offers you an amazing opportunity, but you're not sure you can do it, then say yes and learn about it later." Little did I know where this was going to take me. And then the curveball of COVID struck, and the world changed. Whilst this was a difficult and distressing period for everybody, it inadvertently provided me with opportunities due to the world going online. I saw a course advertised by the Irish Football Association looking for women in football clubs to join a female football leadership programme. And although I had no football background, I applied to the course with a desire to learn more about a sector that I was becoming loosely involved in. I was delighted to be accepted onto the programme, but during my first Zoom session, I was struck by a chronic case of imposter syndrome. I was surrounded by footballers, referees, coaches, most with years of experience behind them, and it seemed like everyone knew or had heard of each other except me, but I stuck with it. I looked forward to those online sessions. They gave me something to focus on during the early days of COVID and provided a welcome distraction from homeschooling. If ever I needed proof that I made the right decision to leave teaching, homeschooling was evidence enough. The thought of it still makes me shudder. I can see some of you agree. I completed many other online courses, and I was often happy to volunteer as the first person to answer a question, mainly to get my bit over and done with, as I'm not a confident public speaker. Then I realised I was being sought out and asked questions and asked for opinions. I felt like I was collecting course certificates, but each online course was giving my lockdown experience structure, and I was doing something for myself, investing in myself. Without realising, I was slowly building a network of contacts, and my interest in the football world was increasing. This came at the same time as the exponential growth of the women's national football team in Northern Ireland, and I was finding role models in them and being inspired by their passion, resilience, determination, and the journey that the team was on to reach their first major tournament. In early 2021, a friend asked me about setting up a women's football team in our club. I laughed, and that was the end of it, or so I thought. A few weeks later, she asked me again. I hadn't thought she was serious, either about wanting to set up a women's team or about me taking on what I thought was this mammoth task far outside of my capability. However, after thinking it through, breaking it up into smaller steps, having some chats to gauge interest, and making some tentative plans, we set the football in motion. And in June 2021, our women's football team was born. Almost 2 years later, despite feeling like I was making it up as I went along, that team has gone from strength to strength, both on and off the pitch. We have had nights out and nights in. We support one another through difficult times and injuries, and we celebrate birthdays, awards, weddings, and achievements. We have created a bond and friendships that many of the women didn't realise they needed, not least of all me. The team has recently been accepted into the Northern Ireland Women's Football Leagues, and they start playing competitively next month. And we still have footballers who simply come along for social contact and to keep fit. Founder member Becky says, "It's more like a family at this stage now. We all look out for one another outside of the pitch as well." And Jenny says, "I've learnt you don't need to be the best player, the fittest, or the fastest to be part of a team. You just need the courage to give it a go and put yourself out there. It's been the best thing I've done." And me, what do I think? Well, now I love sitting out in the wind and the rain, watching my team, as well as my kids play football. I am so proud of this wonderful group of women and what they can achieve together. I'm proud of what I have created, and I'm excited about our future as a team. I've been delighted to highly recommend the Female Football Leadership Programme to other females in my club and beyond, and several of them have now completed the course. My journey has inspired them to get more involved in the running of our club, and in May 2022, we helped to establish a girls' team, and there are now 4 girls' teams in our club, and this continues to grow. These young girls can now see a pathway for themselves from junior football to senior football, and potentially to bigger clubs, and even the Northern Ireland national team in the future. You can't be what you can't see, they say. Well, now they can see. I've experienced several unexpected privileges in the 3 years since signing up to the Female Football Leadership Programme, including being awarded the Football for All award from the Irish FA and McDonald's, which I received for setting up a mental health team in our club and setting up our women's football team. I am on the committee of the Northern Ireland Women's Football Association that looks after 8 women's leagues, and I encourage the promotion of women's football through positive social media interaction. I sit in the board of directors for the Northern Amateur Football League, the largest men's football league in Northern Ireland, of which I am the first female to have been invited to join the board. And I am currently taking part in the first ever elite female leadership programme being run by the IFA and Electric Ireland. On this, the pilot course, there are only 6 participants, and we are being mentored and coached by some amazing women in football and leadership. Sinead Steenson from programme delivery partner Reboot says, "These are awesome women driving forward women's football in Northern Ireland." And the IFA's Women's Development Manager, Gail Redmond, NBE, has said, "Patricia's creativity in taking action and her strong relationship building has developed league structures and strengthened communication channels across the girls' and women's game. This fills me with pride and chases away any lingering self-doubt and intrusive thoughts of unworthiness. I may still hear that imposter's voice in my ear taunting me, but now I can turn down the volume or ignore it altogether. I still find it hard to believe that as well as supporting my sons to play football, I have provided opportunities for girls and for women to play football. Football has brought out an ambitious and determined side of me, and I now want to extend these opportunities to more girls and more women in Northern Ireland." By being open-minded, pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and accepting opportunities that might seem beyond my reach initially, volunteering in football has given me a sense of purpose and well-being, whereby improving my mental health. Most importantly, I feel like I am a more positive role model for my sons, given that some days I am too sore or too fatigued from medication to get out of bed. Yet in my good days, I can achieve so much and can be proud of what I can do. I look back at my accident in 2001, and although I'll never look back on it fondly, I have found a way to reframe the experience as having a positive outcome. Without the accident, I would never have met my husband, never have had my 2 sons, and never have ended up on the extraordinary path that I'm currently on. The torrent of curveballs that I have encountered along the way have allowed me to use what I felt was the worst thing that could have happened to me and turn it into my story of triumph and success in overcoming something that once felt insurmountable. Although I'm still striving to reach my full potential, the positive impact I have on football in Northern Ireland is beginning to become evident. So I challenge you, when you're next hit by a curveball, look for the gift in the challenge and embrace the opportunities that will arise sooner or later. And leaving here today, I want to remind you all, don't be afraid of biting off more than you can chew. Like me, you might be surprised at how big your mouth is. Thank you.